At Manchester United in the box seat now with 2 wins out of 2. And Eamon, does that victory and performance tell us more about the quality of Manchester United or the state of Russian football?
Well, it tells us more about the state of Russian football, really. Liverpool went to play a side below them, way below them in the league, Spartak, last night, and couldn't win. But they did create enough chances to win 2 games, Liverpool. But United took the chances and the result was never in doubt. From very early on when Lukaku scored. So it tells us something, I think, about the experience United gained in the Europa League last year, where Mourinho took it very seriously and adapted to it. The players will know what this kind of football is about, and the determination and the attitude was very, very good, I think, from United. It's a good, strong result, and if you want a comparison, go back to last night, Liverpool playing Spartak, who are way down below these guys in the league, couldn't get the job done. And that's what winners do. And I think he'd be annoyed that they gave the last goal away, but the concentration levels clearly dropped. He made some changes, but with Saturday in mind. But very satisfactory for United.
Liam, just pick up on that point about the Europa League, because look, Man United are in this competition because they won it last year or last season, and it became very important to them when their kind of problems in the league and when they weren't going to finish in the top 4 became obvious. But you know, they had some grueling trips to some very tough places. They went to Russia, I think Rostov last year. You know, so where does connect up the point that Eamon is making?
Well, it's experience. From last year, and the fact they won it as well will give them confidence. I think Mourinho is the master at tactics, so he often, whoever he's up against, will pick a team according to the strengths of the opposition, where someone like Guardiola probably ignores that totally. Certainly with Arsene Wenger, he's another coach who ignores that totally. But I think with this guy, he will look at who he's got to play against and will decide on his team and how they're going to line up and how they're going to play tactically. I think he got serious about the Europa Cup only when he realised that it was going to be a struggle in the league last year. He didn't have the team that could compete at the very top level, and I think he turned his attention to the Europa League and did it well. I think they had a bit of luck along the way, and they weren't that impressive. They got over the line, but they weren't that impressive. They're a functional team, you know. Even watching them tonight, it's hard to get excited. It was hard to get excited about that match though, because the CSKA Moscow team were so poor. There's a lot of good things about this United side. Herrera and Matic in the middle of the park are not going to make it easy. I was a little bit concerned that United gave up far too many chances, and I wasn't surprised that they got a goal. CSKA got a goal in the end. But as Eamon said, a good performance away from home, difficult place to go, long way to go. They set their stall out well. They got that early goal. I thought Lukaku was always dangerous. And I think I said it over there, Dara, I think they're in a group that they'll be able to rest players. It's not a very strong group, and I think they'll probably, very likely, win all 6 games. It's such a poor group.
Which would be incredible to see.
No, it's such a poor group. I think we have to touch upon now that the bigger teams, there seem to be, the gap is widening now between, you know, the teams who are fancied and the teams who may cause a surprise. They never looked like causing a surprise tonight, did they?
No. What do you think, Richie, Mourinho's priority is in terms of which is the bigger target this year? Is it this competition? Is it the Premier League? They won 2 trophies last year, and like in the past, okay, the League Cup.
Three they won, Dara.
The Community Shield.
Well,
told them
to put 3 fingers up at the end of the
This is what I'm saying. In the past, and with where Manchester United were, where they went to, and where they want to be heading now, like they wouldn't have been getting excited about the Community Shield for sure. Yeah. The Europa League served the purpose, the League Cup.
Just to stick to where they are tonight, I mean, that's the second game now in the Champions League group stage which looked routine, looked comprehensive, they were in control. That's what they did under Ferguson. They made the group stages, home and away games, look very routine and ordinary, and they played players that otherwise mightn't get a game, which they got to do in the second half tonight. I agree with Liam. I think they could go on and win every game in the group, so I think they get a lot of confidence from it. As to what their priority is, I think he'll use his squad very effectively like he did last season. He'll see what they're capable of doing. I'd struggle to get too carried away with what we saw from United tonight because the opposition was so bad. But there were times tonight that were very good to watch. They knocked it around with a bit of swagger and scored 4 goals and could have scored more. I'd agree with Liam. There was a couple of edgy moments at the back.
Point, you know, that CSKA were able to create dangerous chances in the first half, and they scored a goal and created some chances in the second half. So there would be some concern about...
I didn't see the Southampton game on Saturday, but were they a bit lucky to hang on? Yeah.
Very lucky to hang on. I think, to answer your original question, knowing Mourinho, the Champions League, which will resonate all around Europe and the world, is what he wants more than the Premier League. But the Premier League is huge as well. So I think he probably knows that he's going to be in with a shout of winning the Premier League. He's got. Do
you not think there's an X factor missing? A player, a really world-class player,
definitely
missing from that team that can make the difference. That some of the other clubs have. Well, you know, the usual suspects.
Yeah, sure.
Ronaldo, Messi.
Bale.
I'd even throw Coutinho in.
Yeah.
You know, he's the kind of player that can change a game on his own, and I don't think Manchester United have that. They have power, they have strength.
And they're not great defensively, Liam, individuals.
Well, looking at tonight now,
Jones,
it was an unusual formation, wasn't it, to play 3 at the back tonight, but they looked shaky at times against the poor side. But, you know, we're nitpicking now. I think they probably got a little bit complacent because the match was so easy. And when you get complacent, you can make silly mistakes or sloppy mistakes.
His first choice team, if you put Ashley Young in it, he'd have 2 wingers, converted wingers playing fullback. Valencia at right back, Ashley Young at left back. That's no good.
Has Valencia not done okay for
up to a point, he does okay. He's a terrific pro and tough. But when he gets up against real quality, you can see that he's not a fullback.
And the other side, well, Shaw has just that whole thing has gone terribly wrong.
We're talking about them now in an elevated place, winning a Premier League with 2 wingers converted to fullback, with Smalling or Jones or Bailly or this fella Lindelof. No, they haven't got enough quality in the team. They don't have a quality midfield player really. You know, someone like Modric, the way he makes Real Madrid tick. Somebody like that. Verratti at PSG. PSG have players now like Neymar, Dani Alves. I just don't think United are in that league, do you?
No, I don't think they've got an X-factor player, you know, and that can be the difference between winning a Champions League and not winning one. They could get to the semi-final easily enough there, or it would be no surprise if Manchester United were to get to the semi-final. But I think if you're going on to win things, you need that X factor.
But in their first season back into it, Richie, would that be kind of that would be acceptable for? Mourinho would want to win it, of course. Man United fans want to win it, but first season back, semi-finals. If you offered it to them this evening, would Man United, would Mourinho take that? Last 4?
I think if they were to get to the last 4 with this squad in their first season back in the Champions League, bearing in mind that the squad that couldn't finish in the top 4 last season in England, I think they'd be very happy with it. But I think to pick up on Liam's point, I was bored by that second half. I found it very difficult to get up for that game once we started to see how poor that Moscow side were, and I think the match they won, there was some heavy defeats for a lot of teams. Tonight, I think some of the other results have gone the same. I think the group stage of the Champions League is becoming a bit of a procession for the bigger teams. I don't think they're tested in any way. The likelihood of a real shock by a big team being beaten by one of the so-called lesser ones is lessening all the time. So I know I should be sitting here maybe promoting it, getting people to watch and to tune in the next time, but it's difficult for you and watching some games where the teams are just getting trounced.
We've said it many times, and you've heard the likes of Mourinho say it starts in February with the knockout.
It does.
The real stuff.
It does, but you have to finish top of your group.
Yeah.
to
that's
avoid
interesting.
one of the other strong teams. More than likely, finishing top of the group is important. But there is something that does need to happen to make the Champions League more interesting before Christmas, and to do away. Imagine what the home game will be like, CSKA at Old Trafford. Now that won't be pretty.
Yeah.
And that's no good for football. You need competitive. It needs to be competitive. And the games, tonight between, say, Chelsea and Atletico, big match. PSG, Bayern Munich, big match. Tottenham have got to play Real Madrid. They're in the same group. And there'll be 2 matches back to back. Tottenham, Real Madrid. That's serious stuff. But
that's one of the few groups. But Dortmund have started badly. But if you look at the 8 groups, Dara, I think most people will pick out the 2 teams that are going to qualify. As Eamon says, the question mark is who can get top spot. But it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have 8 groups and we're all able to pick the 2 teams that are going to qualify.
But it's only going to continue that way because of the changes to next to the structure. There's guaranteed 4 teams from the major countries, and the seeding arrangements are going to benefit them as well. So it's all set up to benefit the top clubs of the super clubs to coast through the group stages.
Yeah.
And I can't see, there's no way I can imagine that being reversed. I don't know how you artificially redistribute
would you want to watch
wealth.
that either? Would that appeal to you if it was loaded in some way that the super clubs weren't there? Now, one of Platini's ideas was to have the so-called, to bring some of the so-called smaller clubs into the mix, and we saw that, but at times that led to bad beatings too.
Yeah, it's you diminish the whole competition if you bring.
It's diluted, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the European Championship or the World Cup, which is now under Mr. Infantino going to have 42 nations competing. So whilst we're desperate to qualify for Russia in 2018, it won't be that hard in the future, because they keep, for political reasons, to get votes, broadening out the base of these competitions and allowing more rubbish in. And you shouldn't do that. You should be in the Champions League is elite. It has to stay elite, and you have to make it harder.
Right. Well, it gets elite in February.
And we'll have an elite team winning it. We can be.
And we'll have an elite team as well.
Absolutely.
There'll be matches worth tuning in for then.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, listen, let's bring you back to this evening and what we've witnessed. And Richie, let's begin with goal number 4 for Manchester United. This was Mkhitaryan after 57 minutes.
Yeah, I think we sat at half time just wondering the question of when they would get the 4th. It's really poor play again from Ignacevic. Tries to play the ball out from the back straight to Herrera, who, see, they're just again poor play, sloppy and unforced error. Martial there's in a position to pounce. Mkhitaryan reacts quicker than them all. Again, you can comment on the defence. They're very flat-footed, slow to react, don't see the danger before it happens. Created the chance, gifted it to United. Deservedly went 4 behind. At that stage we thought, how many is it going to be? It could really be a difficult night for them, which of course it was.
5, 6 or 7.
We showed some footage of the goalkeeper before the match making ridiculous mistakes. In fact, that was when he had his nervous breakdown playing behind that back 4.
It's not always him, but look, let's look at the consolation goal, Eamon, that they got. A young man, Kuchev, I think his first goal for the club. He's only 19.
And Golovin, who's the new bright hope for Russian soccer, was the creator of the goal. Nice little ball in there, dinked in. And I think actually De Gea on the near post should do a little bit better if it's not sacrilege to criticise this fantastic goalkeeper. I think he might have done better there if it was 0-0. But that was some consolation. And I would say that would have annoyed Mourinho because sloppiness is a disease if it creeps into a team.
Yeah, and they haven't conceded a lot this season.
No.
The first half goals, I suppose, looking back, and we discussed these at half-time, the heavy lifting done by half-time by Man United.
Yeah, and there was going to be a surprise, Dara. It had to be them going 1-up, and having something to hold on to. But after 4 minutes, Lukaku pops up, having played a good ball to Martial. He gets up above the centre-back and nods it in well. This was the penalty, which we all think was harsh. Looks like the lad got the ball and Mkhitaryan fell over him, and for once one of the officials on the outside made a decision, and Marshall took it well. I thought he played well in the first half. He makes this goal as well, although you would have to put down that again, the centre-back pairing going missing. As Eamon said, you'd feel sorry for that goalkeeper. You would be of a nervous disposition playing behind those guys.
And again, I suppose, look, when the match was there to be won, you were all impressed with the Manchester United's attitude. Just talk to us about that.
Well, we talked over there before the start. I think, with the two lads they have in midfield, you'll always, break things up. That's Herrera early on in the game. Both him and Matic are very good at. There's Herrera tracking back now. Intercepts. Man United have got the ball. This is when they're properly concentrating now. I think they switched off. The longer the game went on, the more they switched off. This is Matic. There you go. So it's going to be hard for teams to break United down with those two in the middle of the park. And Mourinho loves to have two defensive players, and they both have ability to pass the ball as well. This was the goal that was come from an interception from Herrera, and they break. And that's what Mourinho's teams often do. They break quickly at the opposition, even going back to Damien Duff's days at Chelsea when he won his first league title. I think they won the ball and they broke quickly. But with those two guys in the middle of the park, they're always going to be difficult to beat.
Okay, lads, thanks.